unlisted video, mostly as a backup to the backup. As y'all can see, I'm recording the Zoom video as well. So, this will ensure that we have backups to the backups. And when you guys go to, my Safari just crashed. It's weird. We'll get into the technical check later. All right. So yeah, the other thing I had to do while I was on break, my homework while I was on break, was to try to figure out how to make scrolling text. So you guys should be able to see that now. You see the scrolling text at the bottom of my screen? Or can you not see it? I can't. I can only see it in the program. I can't see it on Zoom.
No, I can see it. Check you out, learning stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other thing I was trying to do is try to make sure I can share the screen properly. I got like a trillion tabs and things open, so I just had to double check with my wife just to make sure I was doing it right. So I think I got it down. So I think we're all up to speed. I just need to gather some windows here real quick. And should be golden to get this going. So let's just see, I'm gonna look at my outline and see where we're at. So I was gonna go into like some of my policies, personal policies, and then school policies, especially like on-campus stuff, things like that. But what I probably should do, mostly why I got you guys, let's just say fresh back from a break before you get too drowsy and nodding off there. I should probably go to the Canvas stuff first. I kind of wanted to wait till later to do that, but because it's a little bit of a disconnect in terms of content, because I've been talking about school and me. I would personally rather continue to do that, but the Canvas stuff is a little more important for daily logistics, so I think we should go there now. So I think I will go ahead and do that, and then after that I will go to the sign-in sheet stuff. Or maybe I should do that. I mean, I think it's all the same window here. Pretty sure. All right. So, well, yeah, sign-in sheet. It's all good. It's all cool. Sweet. Can you guys see the screen? Okay. Like you see a web browser with.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Cool. You should see me and my Canvas, and you should see some other tabs and stuff there. So yeah, let me know if something's like too clipped off, or I can't exactly see what you guys are seeing. So if something looks wrong or you can't see it properly, let me know. We'll try to make some adjustments. So yeah, so a little while back, like on the day-to-day thing, I told you guys I was going to step through Canvas, so that's what this is. This is kind of more the day-to-day kind of stuff. So if you haven't logged into Canvas, as I said earlier, it's super important to kind of get oriented here. This is going to be a good central hub for us to be able to communicate quickly and concisely, meaning I don't have to worry about if it's the right email or this or that and the other. So Canvas is kind of a preferred environment for doing things. Not that you can't send me an email outside of your SAE email or the Canvas environment, but just to kind of make it clear that I usually have my eye on Canvas and my SAE personal email. I mean, not personal, my SAE instructor email. So those are going to be hot places to kind of catch me at any given time, especially during the day if you're saying, hey, I'm going to be late, or don't know where to put the project, can you point me? All of that is best served by Canvas messages. Also, good thing about Canvas is it's just kind of an enclosed system for like messages and delivering files, and we can chat about assignments and all that stuff, and it's all kind of documented in one place. So it's, again, preferred system of communication for the class. All right, so you guys, when you look at your Canvas, you're going to see something slightly different than what you see on my screen now, because I'm cool and you're not. So no, of course not. Joking. Come on. I still got some bad jokes to get through here tonight. So buckle up. But yeah, so I have obviously a teacher view, so I can see what instructors see, not what students see. So it may, again, your mileage may look, yeah, bad jokes are back. And it can never be whack. That's why I got bars too, so watch it. So yeah, your Canvas may look a little different. Just keep that in mind as I go along. So I'm going to try to just get the really important bullet points here, and then if you guys again have questions, you can just chime in. You don't need to raise a hand or anything like that. You just kind of just say, "Hey, I got a question." So clicking on home, you should see the home page for our course. So this is like our personal homepage for this particular section. The way that Canvas is organized, all the day, afternoon, and evening sections should have their own kind of shells that they kind of are able to look at. So you guys won't be able to kind of rub shoulders with other students on this particular Canvas interface. Is kind of what I'm getting at. It should be mostly just for you guys and me. So with that said, this is our home page, and it's kind of like a quick go-to to kind of get the things. So a couple of quick caveats for going places here. So what I've done for some of the links where I don't have content and I may have a channel, but I didn't want to link you guys to something that I don't use, which is empty of content. What I did is I left the lead instructor's content in that place. So I want you to understand, I wasn't like I was lazy and didn't want to like update the link or whatever, but I left it where you could at least find some content by clicking on these links. But again, the warning is that some of the stuff is the lead instructor. So you guys might have heard from Kia already. Kia is the morning instructor for this module. So if you're like, hey, Charles, I can't make the night course, can I go to the morning course instead? Kia is the instructor for the morning section of this, and he's also kind of considered to be the temporary lead instructor for this module, meaning module 101. He's kind of driving the bus, so to speak, for what the instructors are doing. So we kind of get behind what he does. Anyway, he is a great guy and a very good instructor. So I left his Twitch class up. So if you click on Twitch, it goes to Kia's content again. I have a Twitch channel, but I'm not using it. I actually only used it a couple times last year. So I'd rather not drive you to content that's not relevant or not even being used. So if you click on that, just realize it's Kia's. I have a friend named Kiva. Kia's class, not mine. But it should be in the same vein. All the instructors are supposed to be teaching in a relatively same pace at the relatively same time. So in other words, we should all be roughly, give or take some days or maybe a part of the week. This Zoom link gets you to this Zoom link that you're on right now. So if you're just out and about and lost and you don't want to like copy and paste the Zoom link or it's not saved, this Zoom link will get you into this class that you're in currently at the moment. And it is scheduled pretty much for all the class times up until we end the module. I didn't account for the holidays yet, but I'll try to like build that in as well. So the Zoom link should work for all the classes pretty much anytime. Meet your instructor. If you click on that, and maybe I should. You should get this page. I do want to get into who I am in a deeper way a little later. I think getting to some of this more important navigation details is important at the moment for you all. So we'll come back to who I am. But now you know my last name, like Christmas, Noel. And yes, I clicked to this Ableton certification page that kind of has a little bio about me, mostly just because, you know, I don't really have a lot of other stuff out there. You guys are probably going to be asking a lot of stuff about music and stuff later. Just to be clear, I often don't like talk about a lot of that stuff until we get way further in the mod or even after the mod, because I don't really want it to distract from too much from what's important. Anyway, you can go there to kind of get the initial skinny on who I am. And of course, you're going to get the long version a little later. Going to course content. This is probably the most common link that you're going to click on. This is going to take you to the modules, which I'll go through in a minute. So the modules is the best place to go for the day-to-day, week-to-week overview of this course. So if you're just like, hey, I want to know what we're doing in 2 weeks, in here, the modules are broken down basically by week. Actually, usually the term for the weeks is a module. So you can go in there, and I think they're all published for all the weeks. I used to do it so you could only see it like a week ahead of time, but I think it should be so you can see all the weeks for all the modules. Again, I'll go through it in a minute, but that's going to be probably most often where you go, because that's where you're going to go to find anything you're looking for in terms of assignments, handouts, any kind of in-class assignments, all that kind of stuff will be found there. So pretty much anything you're going to ask me for to find, it's going to be on that button there. This is course content. So it's going to be the weekly modules there. We'll come back to it and go through it in a little more detail. Course videos. So someone had asked me earlier, what happens, if I need to make up a class and, go to, oh, actually, whoops, this is the wrong link. This is actually another thing to Kia's stuff, which I'm going to link this to this is Kia, so you can see it. I didn't want to stop it loading up, but I'm going to link it to the YouTube stuff that I'm actually streaming once I get it there. There's no content there since this is the first class I'm streaming. I actually, as you can see now on the screen, I did stream it, and this is the class from before. So if you really want to get super meta, you can see what I said 2 hours ago here on YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll link to the YouTube stuff there once I can kind of get it organized. But I also already linked to that on another place on here, which I'll show you for the videos. And then there's links for resources for the Learning Resource Center, which is kind of like our library, or just information on how to do things. Some of it's like writing a paper, or stuff like that. But also just other kind of administrative / academic resources there. I think you guys probably, if you had an orientation, you met the librarian and some of the admin staff who were there to help you with that stuff. We can go to it in more detail another time. We just have too much other stuff tonight to kind of get through before the end of class. So I'm going to keep the train moving. For Canvas itself, there's a tab for resources there. If you're having problems and you're not sure how to work things, or if you just need to try to find some quick navigational resources and tips, that's also on the link that I just clicked on too. I think most of you are savvy enough to figure out this website for how it's supposed to work, which it's pretty straightforward. But if you're kind of in a bind, this is a place to go if you can't get a hold of somebody, like you can't send me an email or something like that. All right, so let's go back to the top here, and let's go. So I'm going to click. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I know you probably can't see this, but if I do zoom in. You guys can't see it, right? You guys can't see me zooming on the word simple syllabus, right?
No,
it just
it's not
looks normal.
showing.
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah. So I'm not sharing the actual desktop. I'm actually trying to do like a screen zoom on it. Anyway, so I'm going to click on simple syllabus here, which is right under home. And this is where you're going to go to find kind of an outline, or kind of a roadmap, if you will. It's kind of an auto-populated thing that we can kind of finesse here and there. But just to kind of lay it out there, I didn't actually put this together because, as I mentioned before, Kia, the lead instructor, kind of got everything together for the module, and this is the stuff that he populated. But it basically just gives you a course overview. So as we've said like 30 times already, class is broken into 2 parts every day. You go through a theory and you go through a practical. Usually the theory is first, and often that's me lecturing. You're taking notes and listening, and then usually the practical is doing work. Once again, that's not absolutely true across the board for every class. It may be something where maybe I lecture all day some days, like today, or maybe some days where you come in and I say, hey, we're just working on this or that or the other. So it's a little flexible, but that's just generally how things are laid out. Also, theory and practical are critical categories for your 900 hours of completion for this program. So we told the state of New York that you're going to complete a certain amount of theory hours and practical hours, and it all adds up to 900. So it's all kind of laid out in a way that you're supposed to be able to get the right amount of time for the right amount of instruction for the module. So there's a reasoning for laying it out this way versus just saying classes from 6:30 to 11:30 every night. So this just quickly describes the course, which you guys probably have heard and maybe have glanced at a couple times, but the concise version that I'm not going to just read by hand here is to let you know that this is considered to be the ground floor fundamental introduction to audio terminology and engineering. You're going to come in at the super ground level here, which may seem annoying and tedious at times, but it's kind of necessary to understand the bigger picture. And you may, as you're putting this all together as a student, not carry it along and tie it all together immediately, but I guarantee you, if you continue this as a career years later, you're going to appreciate this kind of ground floor, introduction to this. Not a lot of people get this even if they're going to college. It's kind of thrown into like, oh, you got to go take that physics course for waves, and you got to go take this materials course for this. We've kind of took the important part of that type of information and put it into this first module here. So when you get to the second module, you'll understand everything that's underneath what's happening. When you're using like a mixing console, you understand everything that's happening in the background, which helps you kind of troubleshoot and do things better since you understand the kind of inner workings of machines and processes. Instructor information, that's me, that's my email. Learning objectives. So this is basically just laying out what you're going to get at the end. So a lot of times in the professional world, we talk about measurements of success or objectives or outcomes that we're trying to go for. In your case as a student, these are your objectives. In other words, these are the bullet points for what you're going to get through instruction here at SAE for Module 1. You're going to get a lot of this, all of this, either from me or on with hands-on, let's just say, projects, or I was going to say maybe in-class lab demonstrations, things that you're going to have to work with to kind of get some of these principles into your wheelhouse. Here's a very general overview of how projects are weighed. So this should tell you that one of the more important parts of your responsibilities as a student is the milestones. So milestones, you can just think of them as major divisions in a module where you kind of and the one topic and start a new one, but we want to kind of test your ability to, let's just say, be proficient in that particular part of the module's material. So in other words, like the first 3 weeks you'll have one thing, and then the second 3 weeks you'll have another thing. Those two divisions will have their own milestones, which will often might manifest in like an assignment, like a bigger assignment. In other words, not an assignment that you can just do after class or just do in lab time. It's something that's going to take you multiple days, if not multiple weeks, to get through, to help sharpen your skills, but also help demonstrate that you've mastered that stuff. But the milestones are, you should understand their weights. One of the pitfalls I see students fall into often, especially when they start to fall behind, is that milestones go missing or get turned in way late, and often that comes at a big price. Because I may take 20% off, 50% off for some certain amount of lateness, which if you look at the weight of a milestone versus your other stuff, if it were me, I would just do the milestones and forget everything else. In terms of priorities, they weigh that much. Obviously, you should do everything to the best of your ability. But just saying, if you're going to choose one thing to not do, it should not be the milestones. All right. So this is the grade point system here. For the most part, I do believe you are required to stay above a D to survive and move on to the next module. So I think for the module, so in other words, at the end of 12 weeks, if you don't have this, you won't make it. Typically, if you are the kind of person that falls behind, you can often have that grade going into the final week, but maybe make it up in the week between. But as Peter said earlier, we don't recommend falling off the rails for 5 weeks and then trying to do that all in 1 week, because think about it, all the students that are along with you have been moving along at a steady pace. This is not designed to crunch it all in 4 days or 5 days or even 8 days for that matter. You're basically taking 20 days and trying to put it into 5. It's not going to come out pretty. So just try not to fall behind all the inspirational stuff that I said before. I don't need to go through this stuff in excruciating details. Just remember, as I've said, read everything twice, understand it in detail. If you don't, totally ask me, ask fellow students, or even ask other instructors if you're like in a tutoring session or something like that. It's really unfortunate that I have to kind of emphasize following instructions here, but it's really a pitfall that students come into early. You would just think every normal human can follow instructions clearly, but it becomes a problem so much that I have to talk about it so much it's a problem. All right. So yeah, this class, as I've said a number of times in short ways before, will consist of lectures, group activities, exercises, and independent in-class work. As I said, I also want you to understand there will be reading, there will be writing, and it's not like you're going to just type out 2 words and it's going to be sufficient. I need you to pretend, at the very least, that you're a student at a place where you're trying to learn something. And unfortunately, it can't all just be verbal, hands-on stuff. It does require some amount of reading and writing. And some of that is semi-academic reading, meaning you're supposed to do formulaic reading where you have to understand a concept and write about it in an intelligent way. So it's not just simply reading like an article about a person's personal experience and reflecting on it. It's a lot of understanding concepts that are being laid out to you. Readings, yes, will be laid out on Canvas. Here are some learning resources that we have that are in addition to Canvas. So we have a library, as I've mentioned before, and we have a resource center, which is kind of like a place that you can go to do studies, and some of them you can go to do some of the laboratory stuff too. We have a LinkedIn/lynda.com subscription that allows you to go and learn stuff there that's relevant to it. So there's some supplemental learning resources that you can do in addition to being in class. And to be totally transparent, I have no idea even what Group 3 is, but we can look at it if it's a concern of anybody. Okay, attendance. All right, we've talked about this a number of times so far, and I've told you how important this is. Being here is quite simply the bulk of what you got to do, and you guys got it so easy right now with clicking on the button and being here. I understand it's late. I understand we've all been up all day working, doing other things, and it's easy to get tired and kind of tap out. But please just do your best to be here, and be here not only just on time, but like be here all the time when you are here. Do your best to try to be present and be available for conversations and verifications and all these other things that I'm going to need as an instructor, just to see that you're participating, because that's part of what I grade you on, is participation and attitude and things like that. But always let me know if you are not going to be here, especially in the case that you have an extended reason to be away. In other words, you really have to take a break for a full week because a loved one is sick, or you have to go to their aid in some way, or maybe you're sick or something like that. In any case, you should communicate with me and the academic team as well in those cases where it's going to be extended. Just so you know, I'm obligated to reach out to you pretty much every day that you're not here. So it actually helps me if you send me a message and just say, hey, Charles, I'm not going to be here tonight. Sorry, I'm too busy or I'm too tired, or whatever it is. I really don't care. It helps me because then I don't have to write a message in your file that says student X wasn't here. I never heard from them. I sent them 3 emails. They're not responsive. And that looks bad when we're going back in history and you have a problem and you're trying to reconcile that with the academic people like Peter or whoever. If you're going in there and you're trying to petition to them to let you continue as a student, you've messed up. We document this stuff for a reason. So it looks good if they go back in the record and say, oh, okay, the students communicated clearly ahead of time, cool, we'll give them, a little bit of leeway or a lot of bit of leeway to kind of get them back up to speed because they're trustworthy, versus you disappearing for a week and a half and then showing up and, not really explaining yourself. Which, once again, it's not about an excuse, because there literally is no excused absences, as I said earlier. Literally no reason that you can come to us and say, I wasn't here and I can't make up that time. In other words, every day you miss, you have to make up that time 100%. So with that said, just communicate with us clearly. Now here's the super important part that you have to remember. If you are not in class, meaning I don't take attendance with your name on it, and you don't show up for 14 calendar days, that means if you showed up on Friday one week but didn't show up on Monday, the counting of the 14 days starts on Saturday, not Monday. I'll say it again just to be clear. If you are missing MIA completely for 14 days, they will possibly dismiss you from the school. You will be ejected from the school. That 14 days is not 14 classroom days. That is 14 calendar days. So once again, the scenario where you show up to class on Friday and you don't show up for 2 weeks, maybe till 3 Fridays later, they don't start counting on the Monday after the Friday. They start counting on the Saturday after the Friday. So weekends and holidays are included. Now it says in there holiday breaks are excluded, but they will probably count. Like, in other words, if Memorial Day is on Monday, they'll still count the Saturday and Sunday in there. If that makes any sense. They won't include the actual holiday, but they'll include the days leading up. So in other words, you might think Memorial Day holidays on a Monday, I wasn't there on a Friday, but we didn't have school on Monday, so they start on Tuesday. Nope, they start on the Saturday. Does anybody have any questions or not understand what I'm saying? That would be the worst thing for to happen to anyone. I don't want that to happen to anyone. Everybody understands it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Again, super important because you might be like, cool, I was away for a week, no big deal. And it turns out that you're away for like 10 of your 14 days. 2 weekends in there, that's 4 days on top of 7. It's like, you're getting up there without realizing it. So, it comes up every now and then. So best case scenario, communicate with me ahead of time. Anytime you're going to be late or not going to be in class, anytime. If you know it's going to be extended, just write an email that just explains the situation so I can explain to my boss, and we have a record that says student X cannot be in class for 4 days. I have a vacation planned or whatever it is. Post-COVID celebration, sorry, gotta go. Whatever it is, the communication ahead of time helps. And like I said, you're pretty much going to get an email or a message from me every single day that you're not in, regardless of how ridiculous it seems. In other words, if I send you a message every night for 4 days and you don't reply, obviously in my head, I'm like, I sent them 4 messages, but my boss in the administration has it so I have to keep sending you messages. So just to make sure, by one chance out of 14 that you just didn't get one message. Anyway, you get the point. It's important to communicate. Please do that. I'm not going to dwell on late work policy, but yes, there are some late work policies in place. For the most part, you have like 2 safety nets in terms of getting things in. So there's the original due date, which I told you to always make note of, and do your best to get projects in on time. There's usually a scenario where, yeah, a student might have things slip through the cracks. 2 weeks later, they're like, oh my God, okay, gotta get it in. You do get a late pass as kind of a grace for students, who just, are usually on the ball, but maybe have 1 or 2 slip through. So you can see here, you get a late pass to do things. And then they also, at the very end of the module and at the midpoint, they give you kind of I'll just call it a detention that's kind of like redemption. So in other words, you kind of sit virtually or otherwise in a place and say, hey, I'm just going to try to get all this work done and just to try to get caught up. This is to try to help students who really need a last ditch effort to kind of get up to speed. Hopefully you don't get this far behind because like I said, once you start to get behind, it's really hard to get caught back up. It's not really designed, the school's not really designed for that kind of behavior. So hopefully you don't get that far behind, but you do have a couple of safety nets to kind of keep you in there. Once again, communicating is the best way to kind of make all of that go as smoothly as possible. I can't tell you how important that is versus you just kind of ignoring all calls to say, hey, where are you? Why is this stuff not in? Just communicate. Even again, I would prefer even just honest communication, just to say, hey, sorry, I slipped up. I'm just not feeling, you can even, privately just say, hey, I'm just not feeling myself these days or whatever it is. Just clearly communicate. It's so important and will help us go and getting this doing. Late work will always have a penalty on it. Just know that. That penalty I can be a tiny bit flexible on. It'll usually be upfront if it's late. So in other words, I'll say 1 day to 1 week late, 20% off. Every week after that, it's another 20% off or whatever. It's usually like days start to take off the points. It'll be clearly communicated. But yes, realize that late work comes at a penalty. So just again, don't get into that mindset or that space. Please do anything you can to stay on top of it. Okay, so I'm not going to go through it in detail, but you should know in the syllabus that there is a very clearly laid out lesson plan for every lesson that we go through. And it's really cool in the sense that not only can you see the topic, but you can see how you're going to get there, what the assignments are for learning what you're trying to learn. So it's kind of a good overview for what any particular lesson is about and what you will actually be doing to get the knowledge and skills in your head to get things done. So I don't need to go through it in detail, but it is here and available to you. So if you're really worried about the details, I'd say come to your simple syllabus and check it out. But otherwise, what I recommend is going to the modules. So this is a good segue for me to cut over to the modules on the left. So on the left side here, I'm going to click on modules and show you what the modules look like. So the modules, once again, is the kind of one-stop shop for everything you're going to ask me for. So when you're like, Charles, where's the link to or where's the PDF, that you're looking at on your screen or whatever it is, most of the time it is available here in the modules. So just be very familiar with how to get here and how to navigate it. It's very simple. So Kia has set it up to where on the very top, all of the previously recorded classes are readily available. So if you missed a day, or if you're even in lecture with me right now, and then later on you're like, oh, I want to go back to the part where you was talking about something, you can come in here, and if the video is available, I will have it up and ready. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the video to get parsed or processed on whatever platform. So you might need a day or so to let things happen. So just to recover the steps, I clicked on modules on the left, and I'm sorry, I should have actually said this. If you have the ability to click on Canvas right now to navigate with me, that's the recommendation I do, so you can see this stuff as I'm doing it. And you can stop me and say, hey, how did you get there? This way you remember. The way you remember the stuff best is by doing it along with me if you can. So if you have Canvas available, please go there now as I'm talking so you can actually see the stuff. So I'm on the left of modules, and on the very top of our module, we have the online video content. And I clicked in there, and you can see links for all the day's classes, which the first classes were actually the wrong date. I fixed them during the break. So you should be able to come in here. You missed a day, or even you're here today and you saw a class. So you can even do this right now. I recommend doing it, follow along. And you can see I've already actually populated the class that we talked about. The class that we were just in before break, I've already populated. Could come in and say, hey, I already populated that there, so you can see that's where the classes are going to be for any given day. So that was the answer to the question earlier today about how to make up stuff. I mentioned this makeup sheet. So you need to document any kind of hours that you're making up. So please go to this form. They're probably going to open it up here soon enough. But go to this form where I'll make sure that's at a proper length. If you ever come here and this is not fixed, come to me and I'll fix it right away. That means I'm slacking on my job and you need to smack me around. So that should link to a sheet that allows you to tell us what you're making up. It needs to be documented to be counted. So please don't come in here and just watch a video and be like, cool, I'm done. You actually have to document it so we know, and I know, and Peter knows that you actually made up the time, so we can actually log it. And when the state comes and look at the stuff, we can say, no, look, the student actually saw the class or whatever it is that we're doing. All right, so there's all the classes should be linked there. Should be easy for you to get there and find the classes without too much fuss. And I'll get them up there as soon as I can when they're available. Again, they may not be available immediately after class, but hopefully by the next class period. Okay, so here's some resources, for you guys. Anything on campus. How to do things like booking rooms, or you can see there's a thing for the Mackie, which you guys are going to get into. You can see there's the makeup hours form, which is hopefully the right one. I'm going to click on it just to see. Yes, there is the makeup hours form. I'll try to make sure that it's linked to the other other link that I was showing you on the other link before. So if you need some immediate assistance in terms of administrative stuff at SAE, go ahead and click on this first before you bother me or Peter. Of course, you're not bothering me, but yes, do that. So the rest of the navigation for the modules is as such. It's broken down again by week. For some strange reason, Kiva left the dates on here. I need to update that. Sorry about that. But once again, we're together for 12 weeks, and each week has a topic and materials related to that week. Awesome. Good to have you back, Ty. So yeah, this is how the modules work. So this is what I was saying. For the most part, if you're gonna ask me like, where's blah 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 from 2 weeks, like where's the sheet for the project. If you just navigate to modules, navigate to the week. Inside the modules, everything is broken down by categories, handouts, readings, assignments. Often, if there's an assignment you have to turn in, it is also in here too. So once again, this is where pretty much everything you're going to need in terms of being a student, readings, references, and assignments that's going to be in your modules. I mean, often if I'm doing a lecture during the day with a PDF, this is often where I'm going to go to bring it up on my screen. So, and I always encourage you to follow along. So it's on your screen as well. So you can see what I see on my screen on your screen. You have control over what I'm doing. All right, so that's how the module.
Just a comment. I really like how this is set up because, like, I have prior experiences with college and having to do things online. And it's like you literally have to go in a million different places to get to what you need to get your work done.
Absolutely. No, thank you for saying that. And that's why I said, we as instructors and as administrators here, we've been doing this for a while. Even the online stuff, it's even though it's relatively new, we finessed this, with from student feedback. And yeah, exactly. The audio engineers over organizing. We finessed this in a way, via the feedback, but also by using tried and true to educational theory to kind of make it easy and comfortable for you guys to kind of get to what you need, and make it easy so you don't have to like ask me every time or click on 5 different things. This is why getting on Canvas and getting organized is oriented rather is really important, because it's going to be the thing that kind of is your guiding area for your day-to-day, week-to-week SAE stuff. It's not really going to be necessarily me. It's going to be Canvas is where you're going to go to get a handout, go to get some notes, go to turn in assignments. It's going to be Canvas. So yes, become familiar with it. But yeah, thank you for recognizing the effort that we put in. We put into this. So what was on the slate for today, what we probably won't get to since we're getting a little short on time, is I did this introductory interview. I'm going to go into it just as an example, just because of the shortness of time. We're going to kind of maybe push it to tomorrow because there's still a lot of stuff I still want to talk about in terms of who I am, what to expect, and all that stuff that's on topic for tonight. So I'm going to do that in a little bit, but let's go in here just as an example of, hey, Charles assigned this. I'm going to go in. What am I expecting to see, or what am I expected to be doing? So this is going to be your first assignment. So like I said, if you're following along, it's actually good. So introductory interview, which I updated today. I saw somebody had actually already submitted something today, which is great. I love people who are on the ball and just ready to kind of get into it. So this is the assignment that I kind of manipulated again today. So you may, if you came here before, it may look a little different. And like I said, read everything a couple times and know what's being assigned to you, what's a deliverable, what's expected of you, where you're going to deliver it, and where you're going to put your name on the stuff. So those are just kind of some quick things you should always do. So let's just read through it real quick. It says introductory interview. That's the name of the assignment. It says your fellow SAE students will interview you and present their findings to the group. So what this is you're going to be paired up with 1 or 2 people, and you're going to interview each other. via a doc that I'm going to show you in a second. And from that document, you're going to get information, and then you're going to give a presentation essentially on that person. So it's informal, so don't get scared. It's not going to be too crazy. It's going to be fun. This is kind of how we're going to get to know each other, break the ice. And by the end of this, we're all going to know everybody's, passions and favorite football teams, basketball teams, whatever. We're going to know all that. So it should be fun and interesting. So that is your task, is to interview your fellow students and get to know them. So submission guidelines, this is the deliverable. This is going to be a verbal interview. I'm just letting you know that you're going to be talking to somebody and taking notes. That's going to be written into a text document. So it's a verbal interview that's written into a text document. And it's again, which means you're going to talk to somebody and you're going to type into a text document or write if that's more comfortable for you. That doc will be submitted into the area down below, which we'll take a look at in a second. Or as I said, you can copy and paste it into Canvas. And sometimes I write these things quickly. So if you see misspellings or things like that, please call me out. Like I said, I'm holding myself to the standard I'm going to hold you to. So if I do something that is substandard or subpar, of course, I want you to let me know. Like I said, I'm not the only person in the room with all the answers. We're doing this together. So please let me know if you see something, even if it's grammatically incorrect. I'm not the best writer in the world, but I surround myself with good writers. All right, so it says how to do this, and it says what's expected of you. So I'm expecting a 200-word minimum here. And there was something that was labeled here for the student introductions. That was actually the previous name of the assignment. I had hoped that we would just get this done in class, which we probably will just do it tomorrow. But I hoped there'd be enough time that we just do it in class, all submit it, then we all got points on the board. This is basically an easy layup for getting points on the board versus some of the stuff that's going to be happening in the future. So I just wanted to kind of do it as a group to get it done. But as I say here, always check below for a due date. This is kind of like the last ditch effort for getting stuff in. And often you'll see when you do it. So again, I'm a teacher. I'm seeing things a little different than you. I'll do the student view in a second. So yours may look a little different than mine, but that info should be available somewhere. There's a thing about Canvas there. Hopefully everybody has their SAE account and we can do Google Docs through there. But just to kind of put it out there, I use Google Docs a lot because it's an easy way for us to collaborate in real time and have multiple users mark up a document at once without too much passing stuff back and forth. So if you have a Gmail account that you want to use in your own, sometimes that's fine, but just kind of realize I'm going to be using Google Docs, and you will be at SAE anyway to do things. So I've attached the document down below here, which says interview.doc. So if I click it, it should download the file. I already have it open over here. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through the template that I made and explain it to you. Once again, this assignment's going to be for tomorrow. But what I basically did is I took a Google Docs template and then I formatted into something that you guys can use for interviews for each other. So basically, your name is going to be at the top. That's my name there. And your professor's name, which is, of course, my name. And I want you to let me know who we're interviewing. And then I put the date, but you should put the real date. So if it's tomorrow, you're going to put tomorrow's date. And then this is, again, just guiding text here that I want you to just simply highlight and update. So let's pretend that I'm going to interview, let's see, let me just pick a random name out of the chat, Sean Bailey. So this would be basically just a real quick one would be that's my name, interviewing of me, and let's pretend it's tomorrow. And then getting to know, let's pretend I'm putting Sean's name here too, even though I know it doesn't make sense since I just put Sean's name at the very top. Whoops. Sean, let's go. Bailey wrong. Yep, I sure did. Got the L-E-Y-C. That's why you guys gotta call me out. run a tight ship here. All right. So you guys get the idea. I made this template so you could kind of go in and populate this document in a way that makes sense. Please don't be lazy and just like skip over things that don't make sense. And always clean up the doc to make sense. And I want you to hand in something that, that's a complete doc, not with like, if I see the word chili anywhere, I'm gonna know that you're lazy and didn't actually clean up the doc, unless you're interviewing me. So anyway, you hopefully can, once we get to this, you can kind of make sense of all this. I don't want to spend too much more time, since there's stuff to talk about, but you can see quick stats, so discoverant name, street name, city you're repping, day job, fun fact. Yeah, why am I so blue? The world's a depressing place.
Hey, yo,
Yes.
Mr. Aaron. Hey,
Yes.
yo, Mr. Aaron.
Yes.
What type of language is that you written after underneath fun facts?
It's actually it's Greek text, which is often in printing and in some professions just used to be held in place text, so you know what it looks like as it should be. In other words, it's just placeholder text, but Greek. So if you work in printing or in graphic design,
You say Greek?
yeah. So they use the term Greek text to kind of to delineate placeholder text. It's just there to show you like what you're gonna have to put there.
Oh, that's some bougie stuff.
Yeah, it's not bougie. It's pretty standard stuff. But it sounds bougie, though, doesn't it? Greek text. But no, I don't know how to speak any other languages. I'm not even really that good with English, to be honest. But we digress. All right. So these are the interview questions, and I really want you to take your time to get to know your fellow students tomorrow. So please don't gloss over this as like one-word answers. I really kind of have a tiny pet peeve for like people who just put one-word answers on everything.
How about 7 words?
All right, challenge my lower limits. I like it. As long as you can do it academically, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying, don't shortchange your fellow students. Do them proper. Yeah, jokes, always jokes. I love it. But yeah, don't shortchange your fellow students. But also, this is the opportunity to kind of get your hands wet for writing, and I want it to be a collaborative thing. So in other words, even though someone's interviewing, that both of you can kind of come up with the words that you want to say to the group, and it doesn't have to be read. It can be just kind of paraphrased when you do it. So all right, so I'm gonna make this document available. It's actually available on the right here where it says below for discussion using and submission instructions here. But that's for tomorrow. Yes, an icebreaker, actually. It is a good icebreaker. Designed to be that way. All right.
I got one last question.
Yeah. No.
So basically you're saying that we're gonna do this the icebreaker interview thing tomorrow, right?
Yep. Yeah, because tonight it's already up to 11 right now, right? This one goes up to 11. Anybody who's a Spinal Tap fan. So we'll save this for tomorrow. This will be something after I do a little talking. I'll probably have to finish up some administrative stuff tomorrow, and then we'll get into this. But it should be fun. You guys are going to be able to get to know each other and talk about each other, and this is where you get to kind of let your passions out there and let us know who you are and where you're coming from. So I'm really excited about it personally. All right.
But
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Did you say Prince? No, it says Spinal Tap.
Hold on, wait. Is that my reply from earlier to the student discussion?
Yes, that is your reply. Yeah. So you jumped ahead and replied to the student discussion earlier. Yeah. Which is good. I'm glad you jumped on.
Yeah,
Like
I just seen it was something I could do, so I was like, let me get that out the way.
Nice. I like it. I like that attitude. Keep that. Please keep that. Please, everybody. That's the kind of attitude you need to have. Whenever something's assigned, like, let's just get it out of the way. Get the points on the board. All right. So in the next 15 minutes, let me finish up on some of my personal stuff, and then we can call it an evening. Once again, I got to give a shout out to y'all. Thank you for bearing with me on this night. It's an important thing. I know you probably didn't imagine so much kind of just talking on the first night. But it is important because you're about to embark on a very, very deep journey, if you will. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through some of my personal policies and stuff and maybe talk about myself for a minute. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to put up this guide, and just so you can kind of maybe look at this and think as I'm talking. So this guide is the kind of overview of the whole course. And the lead instructor kind of put this together for us. This guy, Ryan Peterson, he's the guy who kind of developed this whole course. But he actually just had a newborn child 2 weeks ago, so he's actually out on leave at the moment. So he'll be back though before you guys are done. You'll probably actually meet him. He'll probably pop in the chats and whatnot. But so what I have on the screen is the overview of the whole course, kind of in pieces. Now I can make it a little smaller. It might be kind of harder to see, but whoops, went the wrong way. Wrong way, Charles. So this is basically a week by week breakdown. So where it says 1, 2, 3, those are actual weeks, as you can see at the top. These are the main topics of the module. So mini modules are just kind of bigger chunks of topics. And this is why I was telling you, sometimes we test you in those chunks. And then this is the order of those topics here. So you can see this by going through the weekly modules as well, but this is more of a nice visual way of having things laid out. So I do want to talk about this, but for now, as I'm talking about myself, I just want to give you something to look at that's about the course to kind of get you, to be able to think about things as I'm kind of babbling on about, my huge ego and my superpowers and all that other stuff. Jokes. All right, Keisha, take care. So check it out. So on my personal, let's just say policies and classroom attitude tip, I got some things I want to lay out there. So first of all, you guys know me, you know my name. My name is Charles. My last name is Noel, like Christmas. I've been an instructor. I'm actually one of the, if not the at this point, longest running instructors here at SAE. So I've been here, probably a lot of you might have been in your teens, if not before that, when I started here. I've been here over 15 years, to varying degrees. SAE is a passion of mine in the sense that this is just like my hobby job. I don't need this. I'm not here because, I need to pay a bill or whatever. I mean, I am a little broke at the moment, but this isn't like a necessity for me, if that makes any sense. I just want to make it clear to you that, this isn't like, something I'm desperate to kind of get through. I actually like doing this. I'm here because I want to be here. No one really, blame COVID too, but but I'm actually here. I want you guys to know from my heart that I actually want to be here. Like, I've been doing this a long time because I want to, and I'm passionate about it. You have an instructor who's actually vested in this in a way that's not about cash. I want to be paid. I'm not doing this for free, of course not. But my underlying motivation is, again, I don't have to be here, and I'm here. So with that said, my background in my let's just say day job, if you will, is I have a master's degree in digital media. I went to the Ohio State University in Ohio. I've lived in New York and New York City since the early 2000s, since like 2002, 2001, 2002. And I work in advertising. So I took my art degree, if you will, and my master's degree. And I thought I was going to work on like animations for Disney in the 90s. So I went to grad school in the 90s, and I thought at the time there was an emerging industry for like digital animation, 3D animation. And that was the thing that I focused on actually a lot as a graduate student. But I still taught at the Ohio State University as a graduate student and as a postgrad too. So I have some teaching under my belt at the university level. And, I've always just been interested in media. The kind of concise version of how I got, to be into audio and music is kind of maybe like most of you. As a teen, I was just very passionate about music, but also I was just really blown away by what I was hearing with early hip hop in the early 80s. And I didn't know how sounds were made. There was no YouTube. There was no like, hey, I'm going to Google, what a drum machine or anything like that is. I was just like, man, what's making those beats? Is somebody playing the drums? Are they, using some kind of effects, or what are they doing? And there was nobody to go to. So my journey started because of that kind of, let's say, fascination with the ability to be able to manipulate audio and do things with it. So I really come from a producer's perspective when I'm talking about media and stuff. I really don't come from a musician's point of view. In other words, I'm not a musician. I'm not really playing instruments from a musician's point of view. If I do play instruments, it's usually from a producer's point of view, which is a very different point of view than a musician. Musicians usually about the craft of the instruments, things like that. Producers are usually about a bigger picture of painting a painting with some different pieces of music.
Not to cut you off, but now it makes sense why you got so many trap jokes.
yeah. I mean, I'm jokes anyway. That's my attitude, and I think it's just
I mean,
fun to be
I
fun.
produce on the side too, but it's like I feel the same way about it. I like to sample a lot, so it's like with the trap beats, I'm like, this is like a 1, 2, 3 piano riff. Like you're not impressing me.
Yeah. It can get boring or whatever, but that's not even the point for now. That'll be another discussion. But I just want to let you guys know where I come from in terms of like my passions and why I'm sitting here talking to you right now, like why I'm the guy who should be talking to you, versus some others. And like I said, I just had a passion for how that stuff was done. So with that said, in the 80s, I dived into this head first and just really tried to absorb as much as I could, as fast as I could. Bought a sampler, bought some tape machines, effects processors, mics, all this stuff, and ended up just trying to make it a home studio from scratch and from nothing. But ended up trying to learn a lot. I became very interested also in fine arts and combining that with music and kind of, let's just say, taking media and putting it on different platforms. Meaning, yes, having a music piece by itself is great, but a music piece in a greater sense, meaning like there's a connected visual with the video, or there's a connected visual with like a video game that tells a story or a movie or anything like that. Having media be cross-platform was something that was very interesting to me at first. So I really, very early on, was interested in trying to bring together a lot of different disciplines and learn a lot about a lot of different things. So I learned a lot about graphic design, using computers to get stuff done, as well as fine art to kind of get to where I am today. So I know a lot about that stuff, and and to some degree, I'm very passionate about it, and still am to this day. So throughout the 90s, I basically had my own electronic music label that I started with friends. Started off as just like a hobby in my room, and then ended up actually manufacturing stuff, talking to distributors, talking to stores, doing tours. In other words, I know some industry stuff. I know some grassroots level industry stuff. I've been through it. I've done it myself. Own my own label. Work again with distribution, manufacturing, design. I know all that stuff. I may not know it from the point of view that you're interested in, but I've definitely done again 20 years worth of work in that realm on my own. So to the end of the 90s, I finished up grad school and decided that I wanted to move to the East Coast with my now wife, but then girlfriend. So we moved from Ohio to New York. We actually lived on Long Island for a while, so I actually spent a lot of time out in Huntington Station. My wife went to Stony Brook to get a PhD. She's got a doctorate in anthropology. While I was there, though, I really fell into getting work in the advertising industry. So that's my day job right now, if you will. I basically am a web media programmer. So I basically make like web banners, or it could be also web video too. So I do a lot of compositing. So if you're familiar with After Effects or Premiere or editing, all that stuff, I'm actually very familiar with it because that's what I do for my day job. So I do a little bit of programming too, because it's all kind of web-based stuff. So I do a little bit of JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and related languages there too. So I'm very, let's just say, able in terms of that kind of media stuff. And again, that's what I do for my day job before I get to see you guys at night. So with that said, that's my credentials. Again, I have a master's degree from Ohio State University, and I've taught university level, and I've been at SAE, and I've been in the industry, making music, touring, and active in many different levels, pretty much since like 1985 at this point. Just dated myself a little bit. Hopefully nobody did any math there. All right. So for me as a person, I'm very easygoing. I try to be very clear, transparent, but also I want everyone to feel like they can approach me and that there's no hangups or worries about me. I'm very unjudgmental, if you will. I come from, first of all, a very diverse background in terms of just who's in my family, the types of people, people of all different colors and cultures and everything are part of my family. And I'm obviously, we're in New York City, so we know that's true, but even then it's in my family. So I actually know a lot. Not only that, I'm well-traveled. I've been to pretty much all continents except for the tip of Africa I was trying to get to that didn't quite make it. I was in Spain and tried to make it down there to Gibraltar, didn't make it. So I haven't been to Africa yet, and I have not been to Antarctica, but through my tours, I've been to a lot of places. My wife does a ton of work in Indonesia, so you can speak Indonesian fluently, as well as some other native languages there. So, I'm very well-traveled and very well-cultured, and I do know a lot, and I have respect for humanity in general. So with that said, that's who I am, and that's how I try to run my class. I try to bring a pretty high standard for inclusiveness, for being clear, being respectful, trustworthy, all that stuff. And that's what I expect of you guys as students. My top priority as your, thank you for saying that. My top priority as an instructor is number one, above everything else, is to have a safe and, let's just say, conductive environment for learning. Now, what do I mean by that? So safe is above all. Now, safe means everyone in this class, virtual or not, meaning if you're on campus, if you're in a classroom, or if you're virtual or not, you should not have to worry about any kind of threat, physical or otherwise, at all. Because if you have to worry about surviving in any case, you can't focus on what you're here to do. So I have no tolerance for people who will contribute to a classroom that is, quote, unsafe. Now, let's go a little deeper into that. That means language that is offensive. Now, it could be like your native language, and we'll talk about that in a second. It could be your native language. In other words, it could be, hey, I'm hanging out with the boys, this is what I say, or I'm hanging out with the girls, this is what I say. It could be that. But ultimately, we all have to do this together. So that means we all have to agree, and I really literally mean we as a group, these people together have to agree on what's offensive and what's not offensive as a group. And this is one of the things I said earlier. I'm going to let you customize the class, and I'll say something very specific here in a little bit. But in terms of safe class, once again, I can't allow anybody to create an unsafe situation, meaning I don't want anybody to feel threatened in any way whatsoever. So this includes who you identify as sexually in terms of your orientation. So if you have a pronoun that you want to use that may not be the usual pronoun, I want to know about this. If you have a nickname, only unsafeness from bad jokes. Yeah, I got you in the bad jokes. Don't worry, they're never going to stop. That might be a problem actually. But no. So if you have pronouns, if you have a nickname that is not offensive, I'm not going to call you, DJ blah 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 bleep bleep bleep. But if you have a nickname that is classroom appropriate and safe for everyone, I will definitely try to comply. Again, we're doing this together, and I want to customize this as much as possible. I'll get to that in detail another day, but for now, just realize that I am an advocate for having a safe classroom, and I'd don't want anyone to feel threatened for any type of identity issues, whether it be race, political, financial, sexual orientation, anything. It is not tolerated. And that's a personal thing, not necessarily just a school thing. It's a school thing, but I'm saying that's my personal belief. And I have to really ensure that that happens. So I need you guys to hear me when I say that. And, you know, that's for your benefit, obviously, most importantly. That's to make sure that you're happy when you come to class. I want you to be excited to be here. I don't want you to be dreading it in any way, shape, or form. And that includes, you know, personal attacks in that way. So there's another part of that I'm going to lay out before I get into some other stuff before we kind of call it a night. So one of the more common themes here at SAE with regards to the topic that I just mentioned is the N-word. Now, I know for some people, especially when we get on campus, it's just like a normal thing. And like I said, my personal belief is that, yes, you should be able to kind of be yourself to whatever degree, but ultimately, you can't be offensive to someone else no matter what. So in other words, if you feel oppressed because someone says you can't say the N-word, even if it's in camaraderie, I'm sorry, we have to, you know, keep it that way. So you might have to whisper it to your boy and say, yo, my, you know, whatever.
Not to I don't even mean to like interrupt, because I feel like this is the perfect moment to just interject and give some
absolutely.
some dialect.
Yeah,
I understand
absolutely.
what you're saying. I understand what you're saying about the derogatory language, but here's the thing, right? I was asking the other day during orientation about the holidays, about Juneteenth not being recognized as a school holiday, when I think it should. So I just feel like even trying to tell people like what to say when you won't even recognize that as a national holiday is kind of like, now, I mean, I understand the education part and you have to be, but I felt the way about that. Yeah, I really felt the way about that because I seen them talking about how we got to go to classes on Fridays for all these other holidays. But then when I brought up Juneteenth, and I realized if nobody else was saying anything, so I had to say something like, and I realized they said that wasn't a recognized holiday as of yet. So I was like,
I appreciate you. Interject, and I'll tell you guys how the school would respond to that and why they're doing what they're doing. But go ahead and chime in, please.
Yeah, just to add, that was Mark, right?
That was Tylee, I think.
Tylee, my fault. Yeah, when I heard it, and you know, previous to this school, I went to John Jay, very involved in like student government, all that, and I'm like, you know, I have a similar attitude as you, granted, in my own respect, Charles. So I just don't. You know what I mean? It's like across the board, we're all human. Like that should be basic, right? But as somebody that identifies as Black, I'm jaded, whatever you want to call it. If it's a mainstream institution, unless it's owned by us, it's not. Like I appreciated that you asked the question, but I kind of laughed when you asked it because I knew what the response was going to be. Just because but don't think you're alone. I don't want you to think you're alone.
No, it's not even that, and I appreciate that. But I just want to make it clear. I want to structure this in a very clear way so it's understood that it's actually both sides are important. First of all, is what I should say, because the idea that an institution is saying, okay, well, you know what, your Blackness has to kind of be turned down or your whiteness has to be turned down or whatever it is not real, in the sense that it's not the way that we should interface, you know, each other as individuals. But the important part is that you have to, at the end of the day, make sure everybody feels comfortable regardless of what your intention is. So that's the top priority. Below that, if it feels comfortable and if that's how the group socially like acts, then I don't want to change that, which is why I'm telling you very clearly and slowly that the N-word can be included. It can be, and I've had classes vote on it, you know, with, you know, some people being like, and some people being like, yeah, but I want you to understand that you have control over that, because I'm not here to tell you to not be a certain way, with the caveat of something that's offensive to someone else. I swear I have to draw the line as the guy in this position. That's
Like,
it.
okay, I understand what you're saying.
So
So
just
we shouldn't say that, but it's like,
you can. No,
okay,
you totally can.
it's no, we shouldn't say that. Now, that's not even up for debate. Any black person that loved themselves would never even try to use that as a term of endearment amongst other people that they don't know. Like, if you say the word on your own time and in your own family, in your own space, fine, that's your business. But I'm talking about as in a peer level or things like that. Not on a professional level. I don't feel like that's necessary. Like, if you're gonna do that in the privacy of your own home or around your own people. I'm not gonna get in the student group chat or go to school calling everybody an N-word. I don't know y'all like that. And y'all don't know me.
Exactly.
Y'all it could be, I mean, some people will take offense to it because it's a lot of people out there that's like, yo, don't call me that. You can call me anything else. Don't call me that. So you know, that's not even, that shouldn't even be up for discussion or debate. Like, of course, if it's like going to work, you wouldn't go to work calling your supervisors and your managers and your coworkers in words. Don't like treat this like it's work. It's definitely an investment. It's a lot of money on the line.
It is.
I feel like that if we all thought like that and we treated it as such, that wouldn't even be a part of the conversation topic.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the words, Charlie. I really do. But again, just to be clear, that the concept here is that, yes, you wouldn't just do that in a public forum anyway, so why do it now? But you also have to understand is you also can't tell somebody flat out, you're wrong for being you, even if you do it by yourself at home, which I just want to make it clear. I'm not saying that we're deciding either way right now. Like, right, you wouldn't whisper at work either. That's hilarious, right? But, anyway, that's something I don't even want to dwell on too much further, just in the interest of time. I just wanted to make it clear to you guys who I am and how I, let's just say, expect you guys to act. And that's something we will decide as a group. And it sounds like it's going to go one way or another, but don't even think about it right now. Don't even start talking because of time, but we will definitely get there. All right. Second thing I want to mention, which you guys seem to be great about right now, which is really important beyond the safety of the class, is disturbing the class. Now, I used to frame it this way. You guys are roughly paying $1 a minute for this journey here. If someone is interrupting the class in a way that's disruptive to you getting information from me or for themselves, I would look at that person and be like, you owe me $1 because you just took a minute away. You know what I mean? This is freaking expensive. And I'm I'm on this side of the camera. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, if you have to disrupt the class, please do your best to walk away from your camera or, turn your phone off. Even if you have to log off from class for 10 minutes because you got to go yell at your baby daddy, mama, whoever, whatever, you got to do it. I have utmost respect for that, but please try not to disturb the class because people are paying a lot of money for this. And if they can't hear me and they hear you, that's a problem. And that's a problem I have to, as the guy in control for the moment, that's the problem I have to get in front of. So please do me a favor. This is, back to the respect thing. Just step away. No harm for anyone. And when you guys get to campus, it's the same thing. It's often that we have people kind of blurt out, phones beeping, all this stuff on campus too. Same thing, please. People are paying for this. They want to pay attention to me. You may not want to pay attention to me. Or like I said, you may have drama going on or not even drama. Maybe you just need to step away. Not even important. Just do your best to be very conscious of disturbing something that your fellow students are paying for to try to get. So keep the noise down, be good with the muting of the mics and, all that stuff. Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. So just two last things and then we'll definitely call it. I know I keep saying that. So there's technology etiquette that I want to get into another time, but let me just say this. I unfortunately am going to have to require that I see and hear you guys at, times during the class. So there may be times where I just need you to, at least for a little while, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Keep the camera on so I know you're there and I know it's happening. It's a little weird for me to get a lot of energy from a bunch of names of Zoom users. But also for you guys, for each other, I need you to be present and available. I'm not saying have to have the camera on all the time and mic on all the time. Obviously, I don't want that. But I think there's some etiquette in there that needs to be balanced. and I need you guys to, help me out with that in terms of being able to turn on the camera at any given moment. Of course, make sure your room's clean, make sure, whatever, the cat's out of the background, whatever it is, take your time to do what you got to do. But at the same time, realize that it's actually kind of a requirement. I can't have you going through the whole mod with me just seeing your name and hearing your voice. Plus, come on, we're doing this together. All right, don't worry. I'm finishing up. All right. So the last thing, and then this will be, I do have one other bullet point after that, but this is actually it. So the thing to take away from tonight and to bring into tomorrow is, I want you guys to understand that Charles is a facilitator. So the way I run my classrooms, the way we're supposed to kind of do this is, I am a facilitator, I'm not your teacher. Meaning I'm the guy who's kind of guiding you on your journey. You should think of yourself as the teacher and the learner at the same time, which means you need to take the initiative, but also, you might just say, hey, Charles, point me to the resources and I'm going to go do what I need to do, as long as you tell me which way is the right way to go. So I'm a facilitator. And with that said, I'm not always the guy with the answers, as I've said a couple times tonight. One of you may have the answer, in your head faster than I may be able to, go look it up someplace. I don't have the answers to everything immediately available. Of course, I'm very knowledgeable. I'm very experienced, but at the same time, I may not just have the immediate answer available. And if you do, I want you as students to feel free to be like, boom, raise my hand, I got this, or just blurt out the answer and we'll, like I said, verify it together. There is a strong need at SAE and in this particular class for mentors to step up. So if you feel like you're the kind of student that would be a good mentor, I want you to start to put yourself in that role mentally, meaning you can basically, handle stuff that I might be too busy doing for other students. In other words, I might be in a breakout room with other students and a student might have a question about something I just lectured about, and you're like, hey, I understand this, I can talk to you about it. We need people like that in the classes, and specifically in this class. I want you to think of yourself, if you think you're the kind of student that could be a mentor, I'm kind of ready for people to start to nominate themselves as mentors, as kind of go-tos and gurus for information in the class. Nothing you need to do at the moment, but I wanted to kind of plant the seed for you thinking of that role, not just even in the class, but even for SAE in general. We have student mentors too that kind of sit around and help tutor students, fellow students with work as well. Okay, I've talked you into the evening and I definitely owe you a big thanks for that. I want to just say how I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you dealing with the bad jokes, and the long-winded explanations. Again, I do it out of love for this, but also to get you guys started off on the right foot. I feel like we can't, I could have started today just be like, yeah, cool, let's just start working. And you guys, would be kind of tuning in and out of this, that, and the other. But now you have information that you can carry on your journey moving forward. And, I want you to be motivated. I want you to be, successful and do everything to make things happen. So with that said, I will see you tomorrow night at 6:30 on this same Zoom channel. So everything as it was yesterday, and we'll finish up some of my talking points and then we'll get into the interviews tomorrow immediately following. So once again, thank y'all, appreciate y'all. Let's do this. I'm motivated, I'm excited, looking forward to it, looking forward to doing some good stuff.
Have a good night, Charles. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Good night,
Be
James.
well.
Peace, y'all.
Right.
Good night, everybody.
Safe. Yes, be safe. Thank you.
Right.
Later, y'all.
Always
you.
thank you.
Right, boys. Stay safe,
Yes.
everybody.
Let's do it. Yes, stay safe.